What's up, bikers? Episode 171. Here we are, Biker Bar Podcast. Super stoked. Wow. It's like 29. Man, if I was better at math, that would have just came right out. 29 episodes until I hit 200. That's gotta be something special, right? I don't even know where to start. I can tell you this much. I am super amped that this year that we got sponsors. So aside from Patreon, we got Fazari. Look at that. And been riding their LaSalle frame for the last I don't know, what has it been? A couple of months now. And honestly, it's been super fun bike. It was not what I expected at all. I really truly expected to do a little review on the frame, take it apart, sell it, buy another Santa Cruz. And here we are now that I'm like committing to riding their bikes all year next year. And man, I don't take that lightly. Honestly, I don't want to talk about any company on here the way that I'm talking about them or the way that I've been like talking about Tasco. You know, that's another sponsor, without letting you guys know that I truly like believe in their products. So yeah, definitely. So if you're thinking about getting a new bike, check out Fazari, man. They got some good sales going on, just like everybody else right now. But honestly, bike pedals really, really good for 170. I couldn't believe how well it pedaled. But aside from that, let's talk about Tasco real quick. They have these black flag gloves. This is the third version, and it's always one of my favorites. For those of you guys that are listening, it's basically a black glove, but it kind of has like an American flag printed on it in gray. So like gray stripes instead of white stripes and gray stars. And it's a slick looking glove. They got some socks to match. Swing over there, use the code biker B1KER, save yourself some money, and then keep the sponsors happy, man. If you guys want to sponsor me directly, you can do that now on YouTube. I have a YouTube membership set up for both channels, whether you're on the Biker or the Biker Bar channel. So you can do it either place. It'll give you access to early content if I'm gonna put anything out, especially on the Biker Bar, anything early. But on the Biker channel, more so there with the POV stuff, it would be early access there. So if you're more interested in that, sign up over there. The other thing that I've been doing though that I'm super stoked about is this year got on scale. Guess what? Fat again. And I'm making an effort to get skinny. And I've been doing every week a new show called Backpedal on both channels. And basically it's live. So basically it is live, 100% live every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, and runs on both channels. But the thing is if you miss it live, it goes to members only. So for as little as $3 a month, you can help support me and check that out whenever you want. So let's go ahead and bring Mia on, and let's talk about what she's doing over there. What's going on, Mia?
What's going on? Congrats on the journey, man. I can't do what you do. Pedaling on Zwift like that. That's insane.
Let me tell you, I was just literally on that fucking bike like 15 minutes ago. And let me tell you, have you ever done Zwift?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Yeah, it is a bitch.
It kicks your butt.
I can't stand that thing, but damn if it's not effective. So
yeah, I'm considering it, but California, we've been pretty blessed with some 60-degree weather constantly this winter. So I have no excuse to get on the bike and pedal, right?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing is like every year I've always made fun of people that use Zwift because like we live in California and normally our weather is pretty good. So I'm like, dude, you're retarded. Why would you do that? And then this year, or I'm sorry, last year, it just rained so much that I was like, man, if I don't do something, I'm going to lose like all my fitness. And I did this training plan on there, and it just put it this way. When I got done with the training plan, I got on my bike. I like wrecked every PR I had.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's effective. That's the thing, right? It's like, dude, it sucks, but I guess like you get what you put in, right? You know,
100%. You're convincing me to do it.
I'm telling you, I went from the guy that talked complete shit to everybody that did it to like the freaking like the marketing man for them. I feel like I should get the sponsorship from Zwift.
I think you should too. Wait, are you using their trainer?
No, I'm not, but that's the one I recommend to everybody because honestly, for the price, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't think you can beat it. And I feel like what they're doing with their trainer is they bought some other company, right? That
yeah,
had one,
yeah.
but I think that they're selling it at like barely a profit, to like get
Well,
more people onto their platform, so it's like
yeah.
the long game or something like that.
$600. Yeah, it's not bad. It's equivalent to the Wahoo.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's definitely um very economical. I ended up getting the Garmin one, but just because I had a contact at Garmin, so I could get kind of a deal on it. And
Share the wealth.
right.
Share the knowledge.
Man, I wish I don't even think I have that contact anymore. The girl that was the person that I met, um, I think she moved on to another position. And whenever the new dude took over, he's like, you have no relationship with them. They're like, oh yeah, see you later,
Yeah.
dude. You start getting the like slow answers, like, hey man, could I get this product? I want to do a video on it. And they're like, we don't have any budget right now.
Story of
You're like, that's so
2024.
yeah, I just saw
Yeah.
DC Rainmaker do like everything you ever put out.
You're like, liar.
Yeah.
Funny.
So what are
That's
you
funny.
doing over there in the Women's Mountain Bike Network? How did
Oh
this come
man. COVID, right? I started to want to get back into, I was mainly doing cross country and I wanted to kind of I went to Sedona for the first time to ride a bike and I just
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with it. And at the time I had like a low travel 100, 110
Mm-hmm.
giant something or other. And I was looking for a higher travel bike, understanding what all that meant. And I couldn't find any reviews for women on any
Mm-hmm.
bike. And I got really frustrated with that. But not just with bikes. There wasn't anything for clothes, for gear, for nothing. And I was in law school at the time and I couldn't take it on, but I'm like, I'm going to do this when I finish law school. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my goal, is like to start a website of resources for women in mountain biking. And this year we're going to drop a ton of stuff. Like tomorrow I'm dropping a Revel Ranger review. It's the bike behind me right here. Here.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am doing an e-bike series where we're testing out the Santa Cruz Heckler, the Specialized Levo SL, the one Jess and I just did a video of yesterday. I don't know if you saw the little
Yeah.
video I did with Jess. Oh, she's hilarious. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff in the works. The website also, I've created a community on there for folks. So I wanted women to be able to find coaches or groups or clubs or anything around the world that they could find, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's starting off well. I've had the website for like a year now, a little over a year.
So was
And we're
your
finally
initial
gonna
idea
get some
just
sponsors.
to do a website, or was it like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
start doing a channel, or what? Like, where did the dream start?
The dream started with the website.
Uh-huh.
Back in the day, I'm a drummer. That's like what I grew up doing, is playing the drums and bands and stuff. And I used to have a YouTube channel on my drumming. And I thought, maybe if I can get enough subscribers doing videos too for the website, like that could be another direction we could go in. So I
Mm-hmm.
started that. We're hoping to grow that a little more now that we're going to have videos drop in. And then the podcast came about because I've had women being like, hey, we don't really have like a dedicated women's podcast. Although there are some really good podcasts out there, but I wanted to have like everyone on, not just
Mm-hmm.
the huge content creator or the athlete or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shelly, who I just had, that started the enduro group for women in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't exist for girls. And so I wanted her to tell her story. And after we dropped that, I had 6 women contact me, including one from South Africa, saying, oh, that was so inspirational. I'm trying to start doing that. And it was good to hear that she was able to overcome barriers and create that, So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot, but I love it. And I'm trying to make this my full-time thing, dude. So any
Mm-hmm.
help is appreciated.
You're like, this lawyer thing, it's not panning out.
It's for the birds. It's for the birds. That was the biggest disappointment when I finished law school and I was like, nah, I'm not going to take the bar exam.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just
But
whatever. Just
I mean, I do contract law now. I don't need a law degree because I'm not advising
uh-huh.
people. I'm not giving any advice. I write contracts all day and I actually really enjoy it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I told you, an MTB contracting business. Um, but yeah, I halfway through studying for the bar exam, I was studying 60 hours a week, and I had like a little bit of a mental breakdown. It was right after
Yeah.
COVID, and I said, "Fuck this." Oh, can I swear?
Yeah.
Wasn't
It's a
sure.
bar, dude. You do whatever you want.
It's like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm starting the women's MTB network. So yeah,
Right on.
yeah.
Yeah. When I originally bought how do I cannot get the words out of my mouth today. I bought biker.com in like, I don't even remember. It was probably like 2010, maybe 2011, something like that.
Damn.
And the original idea was a website. It had nothing to do with the YouTube channel at all. So kind of similar roots. I think
yeah, for sure.
I think it's cool, you know, like as you're talking to me, it kind of inspires me to maybe do more with my website and build more of a community like I was originally kind of planning to do, but
Yeah.
with a different vision. But to be honest, at this point, man, I just keep coming up with more ways to spend the same amount of hours in the day. And it's like I have to just draw a line in the sand somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
And it's
where
rough when you work full time, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it would be great if the dump truck load of money from YouTube just showed up one day and was like, guess what? Mr. B said you can have $500,000. You don't have to work for a year, you know, or whatever the hell, you know. It'd be like,
Let's
oh,
make
that'd
it
be awesome,
happen, dude. Let's make
right?
it happen.
You know, Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Oh, you
The
do?
MTB Mr. Beast. The MTV Mr. Beast. That's what you need to be.
Right. That's what I need to be. So, yeah. I mean, so when you started, you went out. Did you ever build a website before or anything like that?
No.
You're just
I
like, I
learned
seen some
everything
ads
as
on
I went.
YouTube. I figured it out.
Everything that you see on the website, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did have help from an awesome friend of mine who was helping with SEO because I talked to
Mm-hmm.
Drew at Lone Wolf, and he was like, dude, SEO is key. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to develop that. And I'm starting to work on that more. But I just launched like an events page, and we're doing a forum, and I had to learn how to code. I spent the last like 10 days learning to code this forum to make sure it's going to launch right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Which
worth it.
forum are you
It's worth
using?
it. I'm just using the one on WordPress. There's like some plugin for WordPress that works well. I'm gonna test it out, see how it goes, and if it grows, like I'm talking with some brands to be like a sponsor so they can get banners and stuff on there to hopefully bring some
Mm-hmm.
money in, and we can get the traveling done that we want for me and some of the goals on the crew. We can go to
Mm-hmm.
Crankworks this year. We really want to go to Crankworks this year
Yeah.
in Whistler.
Yeah. I used to do
Yeah.
forums on websites back in the day, and I used to use the PHPBB forum a lot. That one was really nice, and it integrated well into WordPress. So that's what you're using for your website?
Yeah. So I can
Yeah.
hit you up now. You should have told me that. I'm going to bug you now. I'm going to text you and be like, Robert.
Yeah, no, don't hesitate. Honestly, it's not a big deal to me, and a lot of that stuff. I remember when I first learned how to do web, it was like a lot of things were intimidating, you know. And
Yeah.
for me, I was going to school for computer stuff, but I took an HTML class, and it just didn't work out for my schedule at the time. And so I had to drop the class, but I really want to learn how to do HTML. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend whatever that hour a week is every week and try to like learn it online on my own. And with my typical personality, I just like that first hour turned into like every minute that I had until I figured it out. And yeah, and then it was just from there. So
That's
it's
awesome.
always just been kind of like a little hobby kind of thing, but
yeah,
I'm decent at it. I mean, I've done some side gigs and stuff like that here and there. It's like, oh, that pays for some stuff. That's cool.
It's a good skill to have. I mean, think about it. Even coding in general, like kids nowadays are going to need to know how to do that. The way AI is going, especially in the medical field, like if a doctor has to do something that's to do with AI on a body, like they're going to need to learn to code all that stuff, right? So it's
or you're just going to go to Chat GPT and say, hey, code me this.
Please, no. God, no.
We could put on our tinfoil hat, dude. And as an IT guy, I would tell you that there's a good possibility a lot of our jobs are going to get turned into AI.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but it gives me hope that just recently one of my colleagues sent me an article about 2 lawyers that got disbarred for using ChatGPT to like
Oh,
cite a
really?
case or something, and the judge found out. And I was like, oh, thank God. People are checking their work.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we just really went right off the rails there, straight into law.
Sorry,
No, it's cool. It's all right. I'm
my
just
bad.
yanking your chain. So, how'd you get into riding bikes?
7 or 8 years ago, I had a really gnarly not mountain bike, rock climbing accident.
Hmm.
I fell 15 feet on my back
Oh,
when I was
shoot.
bouldering. I used to rock climb a lot, and I couldn't really. I fractured stuff on my back, and I couldn't do the upper body that you need for a rock climber. And at that point, I'd played soccer my whole life. I don't have any tendons in my right ankle, like it's been blown, so I couldn't run. So my wife's like, "Why don't we try mountain biking?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Sweet." So we went to our local bike shop and rented some bikes out for a couple days, and we loved it. And then the more I started getting into gravity and downhill and tech, I was like, "Oh yeah, no, this is my jam here. This is what I need to be doing."
Uh-huh.
Uh, and yeah, it's been like that ever since. My wife's the one that's the main, like the cross country, the endurance machine. I discovered e-bikes, dude, and it just went downhill for me. Like e-bikes.
Why do you say downhill?
Because I ignore some of my so I have this beautiful custom Revel rail here that I built is like my baby. And then I sat on an e-bike and I was like, why am I struggling on this climb? Because for
Yeah.
me, mountain biking is the challenge is in tech. I will use an analog like in Sedona all day long because that's where the challenge is.
Hmm.
But to get to a climb quick so that I can do more laps and practice, like the e-bike is the shit. The e-bike
Hmm.
is where it's at for me. Have you
Yeah,
been
yeah.
on an e-bike?
Yeah, I've ridden one. I've ridden one a couple of times, and honestly, like just recently, my perspective has completely changed. And so before, I mean, I've never been anti e-bike because I've said this a million times on this channel, but anything that keeps people from sitting on the couch, I think is a good thing. So anybody who wants to like bitch about e-bikes, like get out of town. Anyways, just
Agreed.
lost three subscribers. So,
You
but
should make that
no,
into a t-shirt.
right, right. But yeah, like before, I always kind of just thought of it because I there's a lot of things that I like about analog, and probably as much as I like bitching about climbing, I actually like climbing as much, just as much. But
Oh,
um,
now with the
I like,
Zwift too.
yeah. I mean, apparently, I just like being in pain. That's what it really comes down to. I mean, I mean, pretty much that was my whole first marriage. So I mean, like,
Oh, shots fired.
yeah, right. But no, joking aside. So, anyways, I always kind of just thought of it as a way to go do shuttles and not have to take a bunch of trucks out. Because normally
Yeah.
it's we coordinate 4 or 5 trucks, and then that way we got them all set up in a manner where it's like bop 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 bop, bunch of laps, and then we're like, that's that.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, man, it would be nice if 4 of us could go and not have to set up all these trucks. And somewhere along the line, there was a guy that was on an e-bike with us, and he was just riding to the back to the trailhead. And literally, I mean, I watched it happen where it was like he just pedaled while we were loading bikes up, and then by the time we unloaded the bikes and then pedaled over to where the downhill started, it'd be like he'd be there. And it was like, yeah, man. Well, he proved my point that
Yeah.
obviously you can do it. And like the way that he was going is not like an easy climb by any means or anything like that. So it was very apparent to me, oh wow, like this is a game changer that way. But in my
Yeah.
mind, I could never really justify, you know, $5,000-6,000 to just for days of shuttling. And so it was something I always wanted,
Yeah.
but I just really couldn't wrap my head around like really spending the money on it. So it'd be like, go ahead.
And that's exactly what you're saying. It's perspective. It's what you're going to use it for. It's just like any other tool, right? Either you get a
Yeah.
cross country bike or an enduro bike. It's the same type of thing. It's the purpose of what you're going to use the bike for. And
Yeah.
if you're not going to use it, then that's it. My wife, we were riding with 6 people over the weekend. She's the only one on an analog. And it got to a point where we're all almost at the top of the climb. And someone yells out, like, hey, are you going to wait for your wife? And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah. Where is she? And she's like pedaling up this thing. And I said to her, we're going to Santa Cruz factory next week to do a tour. And I wanted to get her an e-bike. And I said to her, like, hey, I want to get you an e-bike. Like, she's like, no, I don't want an e-bike. I'd rather like a park bike, because she doesn't have a high travel enduro bike. I was like, really? You want like a 160 travel bike? She's like, yeah, I'd rather that than an e-bike because I would use it more. And I was like, oh, you like to climb. I forgot that. So it's the same
Yeah.
type of thing. Like, it's what you're going to use the most. And if you're not going to use an
Yeah.
e-bike,
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only thing for her where it kind of comes into play, where it's just exactly what you explained. When you're riding with a bunch of e-bikers, at some point you're just going to have to give in, because it just level the playing field. And if you don't want to go like full gas, then get one of the lightweight ones, where then maybe she'll still get that feeling where she's working harder, you know, and then maybe that would be that's how I would do it. I would trick her into it that way.
Yeah. I think she's going to ride one when we're in Santa Cruz. They have one for her to demo out. And I think she's going to change her mind from like the Bronson to like the Heckler SL or something. And you can still get a killer of a workout on an e-bike. So I always have it in the lower settings where my heart's still going and I feel like I'm working out.
Yeah. Yeah. So the thing that changed my mind was I went out and rode with Sebastian from Normal Mountain Biker, or Normal MTB, or whatever the hell his channel. It's, you know what I'm talking about. And we did, like, the day before I did this huge ride and my legs were just blown up. And we did a huge ride that day on the e-bikes, and it made me realize that the days where normally I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to do a chill gravel ride or something like that, I could still go mountain biking and like put in a serious day. And then that's whenever it was like, okay, now I really want to get one, you know, where I can use it for those basically what I'm calling rest days, you know? But
which you can still get a hard workout on.
But to me, like, those days, I just want to spin my legs, and I'm not really trying to get a big workout. I'm just trying to like spin my legs and like get some get some exercise, you know, just a little bit of cardio. I'm not really trying to like push hard. And that's where it's like, oh, well, I could not push hard but still be mountain biking instead of on this boring ass road bike, you know? Like,
so. Yeah, I mean, I love the e-bike. I love the ones that I'm demoing out. I have a relay, a transmission relay here. I think it's heavy. It's 170. I don't know how you pedal regularly on a 170 bike, dude. I mean, my rail is 160. I get it. But that bike is 52 pounds in a small.
Oh, wow. That's really heavy.
So
yeah, I'm not pedaling a bike that heavy. My Fazari is like 36 pounds.
Oh, that's lighter than the Levo that I have sitting over there.
But I mean, the Levo,
but it's not an e-bike.
Yeah,
it's not an e-bike. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a me bike. That's what you got to. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
You go from having this website idea where you're gonna. I think originally you're just gonna like maybe like write some articles and throw up some pictures or something, or.
Yeah, I wanted to just have resources where women can find stuff on bike reviews, or because there's some ladies that do it, like Tess. Sorry, she does some really good bike reviews and stuff. So I wanted people to route to that, right? And then I was finding there wasn't that much anyway. So I thought, screw it, I want to do it. Why not? And I don't care. It sounds cliche, but I seriously don't care if it helps one person or if it helps 10 people. Like, my goal is not followers or anything like that. It's to help women, because we are so incredibly underrepresented in this industry that there needs to be something there that they can connect with each other or learn from someone who, like me, who's only 5'4". I got these Latina hips. I'm not the thinnest person, but I wanted the perspectives from different women. And my wife is like 5'8", size 0. Alexis is smaller than me. So I have like 4 women who represent a different group that I think will help women, whether they're 5'4", 5'8", 5'9", size 0, 10, 12, 16, to find something for them from a woman's perspective, right? Because
Mhm.
even clothes, like you look at Troy Lee's or Darko women's pants, they fit
Mhm.
dudes better than they fit women. Like I have a
Yeah.
friend of mine who her XL Darko pants barely fit her, and she's small. She's a size 10. It fit her husband better, and it looked better on her husband than it did on her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand that. I've had this conversation with you actually and other people in the industry, and I don't understand why the apparel side of mountain biking is so underserving women, because
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me at all. I don't like what do you think it is?
I think it's men who are making decisions on behalf of women without understanding their market.
Yeah.
So if you look at some women on brands, Shredley or Wild Rye, they have even Vana, they have a wide range of sizes. They have it for a woman who's a 0 all the way to a 24.
Mhm.
So it's representative of that. And I just actually had Ashley from Shredley on my podcast. I'm going to launch it next week. And she was talking about how they do extensive research for women of just different sizes, whereby when your size goes up, your inseam doesn't go up, because that's
Mhm.
typically what they think, right? Oh, you're a size 16, your legs are going to be longer. And so your pants are going to drag. And that's what I find with Fox or Darko. Whereas with them, they're like, no, the woman is still 5'4" to 5'7". The
Yeah.
inseam shouldn't be that much longer.
Yeah.
So when women are making decisions for other women and they know the market and they know their bodies, it's very different.
Yeah.
Um, it's a
I
different
I was
appeal, I
I was
guess.
thinking about that actually before the show, and I I think what you said there is actually the real reason. Is I think it's because there's so many size differences in women that the investment to do that is way higher. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
but the
like,
payoff.
yeah, no, and I agree. I totally agree. But I think that's like the thing that slows people,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh well, if I do a woman's line, like I have to like have 50 different sizes, whereas I could do a men's line and do like small, medium, large, and extra large, and be done, you know?
Well, I mean, for the most part, you could do that as well for women. You don't have to have 0 to 24. You can at least make it accurate, right? So if they
Yeah,
say it's a size 10, make it a size 10. Don't make it a size 4, because then a
yeah,
regular size 10 can't actually wear it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah. I think
you
that
don't
yeah, and I mean, we're gonna go down the rabbit hole there, because honestly, sizing and everything is just fucked. Because
I mean
like,
for dudes too, for
yeah, yeah,
guys too.
yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, I could buy a size 42 waist in like a dress pants, and then a size 36 in jeans, and be like they both fit. You know? I don't understand where you guys got a difference of 8 inches here, but
I mean, and 8 inches is 8 inches. Like that's a
right?
lot. I can understand one or two sizes, but Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
who's
yeah, it's
doing that?
ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. So I don't know. I mean, and yeah, I think I've said this a bunch of times as far as like women's jeans as well. I don't understand why they don't size them like men's. My wife is tall and you know, she's 5'11", almost 6 foot. And for her, it's if you're thin and you try to get jeans that are gonna fit, good luck,
Yeah.
because if it fits her waist, they're capris, you know.
Oh shit, poor thing.
Y- yeah, so at that point it's only, it really limits your market to buying, I guess, more higher end jeans that come where you have to, get them hemmed
Yeah.
yourself, or they do have that other sizing. But I don't understand where it seems to me where like women are underserved in a lot of the market of clothing in general.
Agreed. Will
Yeah,
not disagree with you there, because it's
yeah,
challenging. Like you're saying, there could be a challenge. So why do it when it's like, well, if you're that, if you're that into making money, just watch,
Yeah.
put the money where your mouth is and see the return on your investment, you know?
Yeah, I think if I was to start a women's brand, I would start with, what sizes are probably the like the most typical sizes,
Yeah.
and then kind of go from there. And I think the other thing is where you're talking about inseam and waist size, there's also from one woman that's a size 10 to another woman that's a size 10, like one could have like way more hips. And
Exactly.
so the way that should be cut compared to one that has like more booty
Yep.
is like,
Yep.
okay, well, or then you end up with this other girl that's a size 10 that is like not as much booty, and you don't want her to be having like saggy butt. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like even in one size, you're like, fuck, how do we do this?
That's actually a good point. And I brought that up to Ashley the other day, and she said that they used to have a curvy line for women that had more hips or more butt. So it
Yeah.
would be different. And then she found in doing all of her market research and feedback from ladies that all they had to do was just do the elastic that they had for curvy, because the thin women wanted to wear that too. And if you
Hmm.
look at their pants, they have, it's almost like a yoga stretch on top. It is
Yeah.
so freaking comfortable to when you climb, you don't have like something digging into your stomach, or
Yeah.
it's stretchy. And we did a review on those. My wife's a 0. She had the same pants that I had in a 14, and we had the same experience, and she's way thinner than me, and it worked great. So I think it's that evolving, right? Like knowing your market, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, but still investing in it. Like you can find a way there.
Yeah.
It just takes
I'm not
time.
gonna
I mean,
lie.
they've
I
been in
want
business
to
for
I
12
want a
years.
yoga pants like shorts too.
Dude, get one. Have you been on their website? They
I
have some
haven't been on
sick
Shredleys in a
stuff.
while. I did a shorts review a long time ago, and one of my buddies had bought some shorts from them just because their designs were better than everything that was on the
Yes.
men's market. And um I think that like at the time what I had said is, hey, if you want some funky designs that look good, just you have to figure out your size in women's, but order these, like. And I'd have to check. I bet you there's a fair amount of traffic that went from that video, because that video actually did really well. So
I mean,
um
if you come to Sedona, and I've decided that you are coming to Sedona with us for the Mountain
yeah.
Bike Fest, we'll get you over there to talk to Ashley, and we'll get you a pair of pants or shorts from
Yeah,
her.
yeah. No, I've reached out
Because
to her
that'd
in the
be
past.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would be super cool. I reached out to her in the past to get her on the podcast, and whatever reason it just didn't work out at the time. So I have to hit her back up again. So we'll see what
Yeah, no
happens.
worries.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think kind of like where we started at though was essentially women kind of just being underserved in the mountain bike industry. So clothing is one. I mean,
Yeah.
how much do you think have you ridden many women specific kind of models of bikes?
Actually, I lied. I rode a Live once about 2 years ago in Sedona when I was waiting for my Revel Ranger to come. Revel, fuck, what was the name of that bike? Rascal. It
Mm-hmm.
was it was good, but to me, I didn't really notice difference than the unisex bikes, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think Live is the only mountain bike brand where the frame is different.
Mm-hmm.
Juliana and Santa Cruz, the frame are exactly the same. There's no
Mm-hmm.
difference in the frame, the geometry, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for me, I don't really see the difference with
Mm-hmm.
women specific bikes. I do see the importance of having women specific bikes.
What do you
I
think
didn't
that
know until
what's the importance there?
so with Juliana, that brand started from the racer, Juliana Furtado, who was one of
Mm-hmm.
the first women to mountain bike ever. And I think naming a bike after her was a way for Santa Cruz to honor her and her legacy and how she started. And continuing with the brand is a way for women to connect with Santa Cruz and with
Mm-hmm.
their brand, their women's brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and people often say, well, it's not a good return on investment because not a lot of people buy Juliana versus Santa Cruz, when they have the data to prove that otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the bike I'm actually getting for my wife is a Juliana Rubion, which is the exact same as a Bronson. And she's stoked on it. She doesn't even really care because it's the same suspension as the VPP that she rides for her Santa Cruz. So she's in love with that. But I think it's important to have that connection for women who want to have a different type of bike that's representative of a strong woman in the sport, you know? And in regards to Live, they make really great bikes and they are supposed to be for women. So I think that's really important. But on the other side, you have the argument of like Ibis, their bikes are designed by a woman. The Geo on those bikes are supposed to be more women friendly than any other bike. And Ibis does really well. So I don't know. I just think it's really important to continue women's brands because it's the way for women to connect with mountain biking, and it doesn't make them feel like they're being overpowered by other brands that aren't made for them. You know, that's a stigma that I wanted to break when I started the network, was to show that women can ride any unisex bike and it's for them just as much as a Juliana or a Liv. So I'm trying to do that. We're going to launch a lot of videos this year with bikes, so hopefully we can break some of that stigma that women can ride whatever they want, unisex or not. Sorry,
Yeah.
I've been messing with these brakes and my hands are all dirty now.
Nobody will know that's listening.
My wife's brakes. I just had to take them off because there was barely nothing.
Yeah, that's usually how I can tell whenever mine are done. They start making that metal on metal noise. I'm like, oh yeah. Been a while. So yeah.
Yeah, so Liv is the best for women specific geometry for sure.
Yeah. I just don't I really question, you know, in my mind, what's different? Like what makes a difference in this geometry for a woman compared to a man, you know?
So I think with Liv, the main difference is the down tube for the standover height. And the distance from the reach is always shorter so that women have an option to add a longer stem if they want. But the feedback that I've gotten is that the standover is easier. There's nothing hitting your crotch, and it's the reach. And Liv come out with bikes that have women specific saddles on them already. And the handlebars are already cut a little shorter. They're not at like an 800 mil.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But in terms of Geo, I believe it's just the stand. Don't quote me. I mean, I might have to Google that to like.
I mean, the way a lot of the bikes are shaped nowadays, though, it's like I don't know if the standover is as much of an issue as it was like back in the day when the top tube was straight across to the seat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
I don't disagree with you there. And I mean, that's one of the main things I'm covering now that I'm doing bike reviews is the standover, because that's the first question women ask me is like, what's the standover height on that thing?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because the reason that I question it is my wife and I had the conversation just earlier today that her inseam is bigger than mine and she's shorter than I am, you know?
Oh, damn.
So, I mean, so it's like, that doesn't,
I honestly
you know what
think,
I mean? I think
dude,
people in general are just like shaped different, you know?
Yeah. And I think that bikes need to be so if you're a Revel, I was pitching this to Revel the other day. I was like, why don't you guys let the person pick the saddle? Because then if it's a woman, I'm going to pick a more woman friendly specific saddle and you can just dump that on there. And I don't have to go and spend another $100 buying a saddle or trying to guess what I want. It's just easier. And then that way it is more women friendly, right? Where it's like, okay, here, pick your saddle. Because every woman, 90% change it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the key like things of companies like Fazari and other direct-to-consumer brands that are allowing you to really kind of change up the way the build goes. I know Commensol does something similar as well, where you can go through and kind of pick those things. And I think that's what's really going to change with companies over the next, whatever amount of years, is that there's going to become more of that like ability to more select your build. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
100%.
Because I don't know, man, it's just like Santa Cruz, for example. It's just annoying where it's like, hey, I want to get this GX axis, but to do that, then I got to spend, $2,000 more, but then that comes with all these other parts that I don't really give a shit about. You know what I mean? Where it's, and then it's like, oh, wow, now I'm into this $7,500 bike. And as soon as I get it, I'm going to buy new brakes because I don't like what's on there. And it's like, this is bullshit,
Yep.
man, that I have to spend. And then on the other end of it, it's if you were going to buy the frame by itself, then they're charging $4,000 for that, and it just doesn't make sense. Something's wonky there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. That's why I built my bike, because I didn't want half the stuff that came
Yeah,
with it. I'm a TRP brake person all the way.
yeah.
That there's me losing 3 subscribers. But I love the TRPs. No bike that I was looking at came with TRP, so I was like, screw it.
Yeah. Are you using the levers from Freedom Coast?
Mm-mm. I'm using
If
the ones
you
that came with them.
Oh man, you should try the Freedom Coast levers. I'm telling you right now, they are amazing. And
Freedom.
it's
I'm Googling that shit as you're telling me now,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
don't
They
forget.
have like they're like they just have like they're not as long as the ones that come on the TRP. The TRP ones remind me more of almost like moto style
Yeah.
levers. And these are more they're shorter, kind of more like a Shimano brake lever. And the where your finger kind of sits in for the like the single finger pull is just
Uh-huh.
it just feels really good. Honestly, somebody at the bike shop told me to look at them, and I just kind of blew him off. It's like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, no, come here and put your hands on it. And
That's
I
what
put
she
my
said.
hands on it. I was like, oh wow, those are actually really good. So
Yeah, I think I
um
might look into them. They have them in a bunch of different colors.
yeah, that's the fun part too. So if you're a TRP fan,
Yeah.
I 100% recommend them. I am on the fence with my TRPs. I'm trying another set of brake pads right now, and if these don't do it, they're definitely not going on my next bike. So
Really? Oh, what a
yeah,
bummer. What is
yeah.
your
I
next
think
bike?
I'm
Can
not gonna say
can you
yet.
talk about it?
Not yet. No, I can't. But it'll be soon. It'll be soon enough. Yeah, and honestly, I would imagine to that I'm gonna be on the LaSalle again for next season because it's just such a well-rounded bike for the kind of stuff that I do. So
I
we'll just see
can't
what
wait to
goes.
see it in Sedona.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll be fun. Actually, I man, flying with your. Have you flown with your bike before?
I did. I went to Bentonville in September and I flew
How,
with my bike. It was a freaking pain in the ass.
yeah, it was right.
And
Well,
I got it just at 50 pounds.
yeah, yeah, and it's a crapshoot because I've gone through that thing before and had my whole bag weighing like 65 pounds. Nobody said a word. Threw it on, no problems. And then I've had it other times when it's like 51 pounds, and they're like, and that's an extra $100. The one time I had them, um, I came up and they took my regular suitcase because I was just checking them both because I was like, screw it, I'm checking the bike. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bother. They took my regular suitcase, threw it on the belt, so it goes in the ether, wherever the hell
Yeah.
that goes, right? And then they put my bike on and they're like, oh well, this weighs too much, you can make it lighter, you can pay this $100. I'm like, well, give me my bag back. Now I can't put where am I going to put parts? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, your bag's gone. I was like, okay, well, like, go get it. They're like, oh yeah, that'll take like an hour. I'm like, yeah, my flight leaves in like 35 minutes. So like that's
Jesus.
and they basically at that point they're like, well, it's not our fucking problem. And I'm like, it is your fucking problem. You just put my freaking suitcase in the back. Like,
What
and
airline was this?
I my assumption is well, it would be one of the ones that offers your bike to only be an extra bag fee. So it'd either be like Delta or American or
Yeah.
possibly United. And I always go with them because like instead of it being $150, it's 30, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
such a crapshoot. And I honestly I have no idea, man. I remember the very first time I ever flew with my bike, I had sent BKXC a message and asked him, about the weight or whatever, and he was,
Yeah.
telling me what it should be, and I was like, all right, and I remember packing my bag, and I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna put all this shit in there, we'll see what happens, So I had my helmet in there, my pads, and all that stuff, and that was like like 60 pounds, and nobody said anything. And I was like, sweet. So on the way back, put
Damn.
more shit in there. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put all this stuff in there. And then it was like 65 pounds. And then the next time it's like, it's weird. Like I'll
I think
fly
you're
out of
right.
Sacramento, have no problem, same bag, and then be on my way back from some other city, and they're like, nope. So
Yeah, I mean, it's leaving LA to Bentonville, they were like, "Oh, you're okay. You're right at 51 pounds." I was like, "Sweet." Leaving Bentonville, I was like, "Screw it. I'm good. Like you, I'm gonna throw my pads in there, my helmet, like all this stuff." And the guy didn't even bat an eye. It was like 55 pounds, and
yeah,
because I was bringing back a bunch of shit, and I just had to carry on. He's like, "Yeah,
I've
good. You're
had
good to
it.
go."
I've had it where 3 of us walk up to the counter, they take mine, put it on the scale, throw it back there, don't even look at it, and the next guy is put his on, don't say nothing. The third guy puts his on, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's 52 pounds." And you're like, dude, it's just like my buddy's bikes just went through, you know? Like, yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's
It
a
totally
nightmare. Like
unbelievable.
I've seen some of Brian's videos, like the last one when him and Sarah went out and they were charging him an extra $250 or some shit. And so
Yeah,
my wife's like, "No, we're not doing that. When we go to Europe to fly, like there's no way. We'll rent bikes." And I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
fine."
Yeah, what I've done in my mind is I just chalk it up as it works out in the wash. So every once in a while, when I end up having to spend the $100 instead of getting all bent out of shape about it, I'm
Yeah.
just like, whatever. Next time it won't cost me that. And somewhere in the wash, it like
Yeah.
it averages out to be like $65 a time or something like that. And fuck it.
Yeah.
But it's really irritating
Yeah.
whenever I've actually sent messages to the airlines several times where I'm like, look, if you're gonna tell people that you can fly with your bike for just an extra bag fee, you need to make the wait like reasonable, you
Did you
know?
get a response though? Did they
Oh
even
no,
like
of course
respond?
not. They don't give a shit, man. I need to get those Mr. Beast numbers first, and
Yes.
then I can
No,
make a
but the
video and they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, we're sorry, sir. You
no,
know?
dude. At that point, you got your own private jet. That's how that's
Right?
gonna go.
Yeah, right. So
That wouldn't
So
be an
you
issue at
decide
all.
somewhere along the line with your website to start making videos. What instead of just like it sounded like you wanted to make a collection of other people's stuff and then you didn't find other people's stuff, so you're like, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. So, as you know, creating stuff is very time consuming and it can get expensive depending on the gear that you have, where you do it. And I've been fortunate to have hooked up with GoPro recently, and they've connected me with some cameras. And I started to learn to film, to edit. I have a little editing background from when I did my drumming videos. So I did that. And then because I'm getting more brands behind me to send me material to ride, I'm like, shit, I got to upgrade my computer now because my Final Cut Pro is crashing all over the place.
Hmm.
So I'm learning all this stuff and I'm actually really enjoying it. I could see why some people like doing it. It's very time consuming though.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a good crew behind me, like Alexis, the gear girl. She's been helping me out a lot. And my wife has also been helping me out a lot with writing because she's really good. So the review we're dropping tomorrow, like she's the one that's proofing all that shit. So it
Hmm.
comes out good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like it didn't exist, right? So I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna create it. Why not? I only live
Hmm.
once. This is what I'm passionate about. And if I can make it happen, then sure, why not?
Hmm. Right on. What's been the struggles?
People taking a woman seriously.
You think?
Yeah.
It,
But
like
there's
like
a lot of people who are willing to help out any way they can. So I have a
Mhm.
lot of friends, male or female, that give me some really great advice, that have connected me with some good brands. I know if I just call them up and like, hey, I'm having trouble with this, they'll help me out. Steve, who is the spokesman MTB, he helps me out a lot with video editing and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, now the struggle for me initially was learning the business side of things because I'm not like a business person. So
Mhm.
it's learning how to approach the brands. And now I have like a pitch deck and I have all this stuff that I'm going to start going after brands and being like, hey, I'm putting this bike mechanic series together. Do you guys want to be a sponsor? And then
Mhm.
that's going to help cover my time off to edit, my time off to film. You know what I mean? Like I have
Mhm.
certain brands that believe in what I'm doing and I want to stand behind it. But it's the industry looking at someone who's new, which I understand. I completely understand. like not knowing where this is going to go. But at the same time, like if I can get the help to be like, hey, here's a little bit to help you through this, to do this video, to grow your channel, to get your network going, we should do it. And that's been the struggle, getting that from brands. And I'm not asking for $5,000-$10,000. It's lowball. So sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do it, and then when I get the subscribers, I'm gonna charge you more. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's the way it goes, right? I mean,
the way it goes for everyone. It's not just me. It's like it's for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough when your channel's just starting. So I mean, because I think as a lot of businesses, they get bombarded on a daily basis. Like everybody has a channel, right? You know, so some people, you know, have the perspective is like, oh, I just start this YouTube channel and companies will just send me free shit. And I mean, like I was saying on my backpedal episode yesterday, it's like I've been doing YouTube for 7 years and I just now have a bike sponsor, you know? Yeah. So that's 7 years of I would imagine, I'm pretty sure the entire first year of, let's just call it working a full-time job, I think I made $100 that year. So work a full-time job for a year and make $100 and keep doing it. You know what I mean?
That's like starting a business too, though, right? Like for me, it's the website more than the YouTube channel, because that's where I think I'm getting a lot of the hits. Because a lot of women don't sit and watch YouTube. They don't watch the videos. So one of the big things I do on the website is I not only have a video, but I have a written review. And I also up top have like a concise bullet point of what you're looking for. So for those who don't want to read, it's right up top. Those who do want to read, here's the article. For those who want to watch, here's the video. So I have something like in a form.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. So I have something for everyone, because that's what it is. So, but for me, my audience is a little different because, like I said, women aren't constantly on YouTube or watching videos. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to launch the forum, is because there's a lot of Facebook groups and Facebook is dying. And so there's a lot of women who are like, oh, I want to connect you with my Facebook group. And I'm like, I'm not on Facebook. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not on Facebook. And I said, cool, well, let's start a forum, because then you can connect that way too. And you don't feel like you're getting talked down to on another forum that is just nothing but dudes talking shit to each other. I mean, I like talking shit no matter what, but some women don't like that, right? Like, so it's what I'm trying to do is a little bit different in that aspect, where I have to see who my audience is and how to help the audience in that way. So it is a little different than what Drew's doing, but I love what Drew does. Like, he puts a lot of effort into all his stuff, and he's given me a lot of really good advice on stuff. And I'm hoping to meet him when he comes back down. He started at my local bike shop. I didn't even know that, like here in Thousand Oaks.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah. I think I had him on the show a long time ago, and then I seem to bump into him at the airport coming or going to Sedona every year. We never see each other at the fest, but we always see each other at the airport. So
that's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
You need to come. Seriously, I know you're on the fence, but you got to come Sedona this year.
I made the decision. I made the decision. I'm coming to Sedona. So yeah. I always ride historically I've always ridden a large, and every time I've tried an XL, I've just not been totally happy with it. And I got an XL in the Fazari because when I first sat on it at Sea Otter, I just felt like the way I sat on it, I felt like maybe I should try the XL. And I was like, I'm not familiar with this bike. So I told the guy, the sales guy out from there, I was like, look, you put me on what you think would be best for me, you know? Yeah. And as I rode it, I just still have that feeling where I'm really curious about the large. And so if I go to Sedona, Fazari is going to be there, and I'll be able to, throw a leg over some larges and see, like, right next to each other, back to back, how I feel about it. So,
and you get to take it out on a trail.
Yeah. I mean, Brewers is right across the street, so I'll be doing some laps for sure.
Yeah, you got to shuttle Brewer. It's not the type I like to climb back up on.
Oh no, we shuttle that for sure. We do odd man out.
Oh,
And so,
really?
yeah, you just get the truck. You got, 6 people in the truck. One person drives, 5 people go down. You can get so fast. You can do 5, 6 laps in like no amount of time,
Yeah.
and
It's my
it's
favorite
so,
trail.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that one it's a blast, honestly. The very first time I did that, I was very, 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 very scared. That exposure at the beginning, like, it scared the shit out of me. Like, to the point where the next time I went back and rode it, I had anxiety going to Sedona just thinking about going back to that trail.
No way,
Yeah.
really? Dude,
Yeah,
that's
and then
not
I ended
good.
up riding it again, and it didn't bother me at all. But it was
Oh,
it was
see.
like, who knows? I mean, whenever I first started though, or that first year I was up there, it was just, whoa, it's scary. Like, I remember feeling like I wanted to crawl because because it was like, dude, it's like a freaking cliff. You're on the side of a cliff,
Yeah.
it's right there, and
Yeah.
it's not. Oh man, I don't like it
Wait,
when, huh?
you did a video on that, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. I'm remembering that now because I watched one of your videos before I went to Sedona to do Brewer. Because
yeah,
Joanna Yates was like, I'm taking you on Brewer. I don't even care. We're doing that line. And I was
yeah.
like, no, I don't like exposed cliffs. So I remember watching your video and I was like, shit, I'm not doing that thing. There's no way.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I was riding with Tess the
Yeah.
on I think it was that other trip before I had done it again. And I was riding with her and she's like, I know you didn't like Brewers. She's like, after some of the stuff that we wrote today, she's like, I don't think you're gonna have a problem. And I was like, I hope so, man. Honestly, like, I I don't want to feel that way because that sucks. And she was right. So
Well,
have
Sedona's a
you,
humbling experience.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely it's different. It's a very different kind of riding. Um
Yeah.
you're in Southern California, right?
Yeah, we don't have a lot of tech here. We can get some steeps, but Sedona to me is like enduro cross country in a way where it's like tech, enduro tech, I guess. Because there's
It's
punchy
very
ups,
like,
punchy downs, like
and like quick like repetition of that.
yeah.
Where here, I would imagine it's pretty close down there where you're at. It's like go somewhere, climb for an hour or an hour and a half, and then smash downhill for a long time. And
Yeah.
there it's like people are like, all right, we're gonna go down. And you like unlock your suspension, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm climbing. And they're like, yeah, that was it. And you're like, wait a minute, like I thought we were like going downhill. They're like, yeah, we did back there. No, wait, where? you know?
Yeah,
So
that 5 seconds that just
yeah.
lasted right there.
I always say in Arizona you're climbing down. So
That's a good one. I'm gonna steal that one from you. You're
yeah,
climbing down.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Good old Arizona downhill. But
Oh
yeah, no,
god, yeah.
it's a good time there in Sedona for sure.
Yeah, I'm
So
glad you're coming.
huh?
I'm glad you're coming.
Yeah, and I think this year I'm planning on actually being there for all the days. Where normally I leave on Sunday and just
Mhm.
fly out, and I think this year I'm actually just going to leave on Monday. That way I can actually like hang out all day on Sunday. And
Solid.
um yeah, I've the last few years it's definitely been more ride motivated, and I think this year I want to try to have a little bit more time at the fest where
Yeah.
as like, well, I mean, last year was weather wise, it kind of screwed
Yeah.
everything up. I mean, last year I think I was at the fest for like an hour and a half and that was it.
Yeah, because I didn't see you
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
all.
we rode South Mountain on, well, we usually ride South Mountain on Thursday when we fly in, and
Yeah.
then Friday we drove back to Phoenix and rode Halls, and
Mhm.
then Saturday we drove, I think it's called Cottonwood, it's like the next city
Yep.
over. We rode
Yep.
over there, and then Sunday we went and did Brewers laps, went over to the fest for maybe an hour and a half, and then left. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
last year was weird. It was the first time they've had that much snow in 100 years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was
it's a
definitely
little weird.
strange. I feel like this year is going to be a banger because it's been 2 years now, maybe, yeah, about 2 years that it's been shitty weather. And I'm just one of those like law of averages kind of guy. I'm like, there's no way it's going to be messed up again this year. This year is going to be, I bet you it's going to be sick this year.
It's gonna be
So,
great. It's gonna be
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point, I mean, some people grumble about the weather, but what I can say is no matter what the weather has been in Sedona, and I've been going every year since 2017 or 2018, every year I still have fun. Like
Yeah.
even last year where it was completely snowed in, we still had a blast.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's Sedona. How can you not?
yeah. I mean, I would have never ridden that Cottonwood area in a million years if it wouldn't have been for that snowstorm. And we had a really good time, you know,
Yeah, Cottonwood's good.
yeah, it was super fun. So,
Sorry.
definitely lots of stuff going on there. So what's the plan? You kind of have this website going on, you're making some content on YouTube, but you're doing this podcast as well. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, the podcast, I actually really enjoy doing the podcast because I love talking to people and I love getting to know how something started. Like
Mhm,
originally I was going to be an ethnomusicologist because I just wanted to do music and learn how people create music.
mhm,
But not wanting to do the PhD life for the rest of my life.
mhm,
So the podcast just really came out of a love for wanting to learn how people get things done in the industry, learning how women overcome struggles and become successful, because I think a lot of people need to hear that and be motivated by it. And so I just love the interview style of it. Originally, it started like as a bike check podcast where I would just have women on talking about their bikes, like why they chose what they did, how they like riding it. But then the feedback we were getting was like, can you do like a series? So we did a series on bike parks, like the basics of bike parks. And that was by far the most successful one we've had because there were three of us talking and two of really seasoned bike parkers. And I'm not. So it was from that perspective of like me, the new being like, hey, so how do you read a map? Like, what gear do you have? So it evolved from that. And I like highlighting women who do a lot for the community and don't get credit. It sounds lame, but it's true. Like I
mhm,
just love showing the potential that women have and inspire someone else to feel like they could do the same thing. Like
mhm,
doesn't matter if you're 60, pick up a bike and go ride. Like who gives a shit? If you're having fun,
mhm.
like that's all that matters. And I got that feedback from Emma, who runs the Sedona Mountain Bike Academy. She said that she had two women over 60 do her clinic because she heard her talking on my podcast. So I was like, sweet, that's awesome.
That is
Um,
really
yeah, because you don't, and it's, I shouldn't just exclude women, but for guys as well. I just feel like my writing buddy, he's 56 and the dude rocks. Like age is not a limit. He's confident as hell.
mhm,
So I want women to feel the same, right? Like, and
mhm,
if a guy can listen to it and be like, sure, I don't feel like I'm young and I want to ride a bike. It's like, who gives a shit? Pick up a bike and go ride with your buddy. Like,
mhm.
if you're invited, you're welcome. They want you there, right? It doesn't matter what skill level you are.
I feel
So
like mountain bikers in general are pretty inclusive, but
yeah.
I'm also, a white guy, so maybe I don't know.
I mean, I haven't had as a woman, I haven't had that many horrible experiences that some might have had. I've had some biases,
Mhm,
more biases at bike shops than anything, but I think that happens with both genders. It's just worse for women at times because, like, I have a friend of mine that works at a bike shop and she's been in the industry for 20 years and they still single her out for stuff and people want to come in and they don't want her to be helped. They don't want the customer doesn't want her to help them. They want a guy to help them
mhm.
because she's a woman. So there's all this kinds of stuff that still happen, but I don't know. I just hope that what I'm doing is bringing perspectives to people that will look at it and be like, "Oh, okay, she does know what she's talking about." So, as an example,
Yeah.
we're doing a bike mechanic series. We're filming that in Sedona, actually. We're filming at Thunder Mountain Bikes. They're lending us their shop for a day. And I wanted to have a female mechanic on it. She was just telling me the other day, she's like, we need to make sure everything is good because women mechanics get trolled like crazy. You have no idea the amount of shit I get from dudes who are bike mechanics. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh shit. I mean, I can see that. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's do a series on that. Like, why the fuck not? Have women see that you can do this just as much as the dudes can. Like, who gives a shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's because it's not in my personal perspective that I don't see those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it
Where
happens.
You know, I understand. No, I totally understand. I'm 100% not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying that I'm like ignorant because I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
So if like I walk into a bike shop and the person is a lady and she
Hmm.
starts talking to me about whatever, I'm gonna assume that she's qualified until she like tells me
Right.
something that I'm like, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about, you know. But that's
That's
the
a
same way I would
logical.
be with some other
Yeah.
dude that I walks in. He's gonna start talking to me. I'll be like, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about,
Yeah,
you know. Like,
exactly. It's a
yeah,
logical
like,
assumption, right?
yeah,
Like you're
yeah,
hired at a bike shop, they trust you to sell bikes or something.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's interesting. It really is. It's too bad that it is that way. I was watching I mean, and keep doing your thing, right? Because that's how you get things to change, right? You bring,
Yeah.
you know, bring that stuff to the forefront. What I was thinking about though was I was watching your, I think it's like something like Women of Oz or something like that video that you
Yeah.
had on there.
Hmm.
And as I was watching it, the thought, like the feeling that I got was, wow, this is really inclusive. The
Hmm.
way that like, and I don't know, you can tell me like, was it just that experience, like all the women being together and doing that? Was that inclusive, or is that really the mountain bike world that you're in? Because as a man, mountain biking is not inclusive in that way, where like everybody's
Oh
out there
wow.
like trying to prop people up like that.
Yeah.
It and maybe it's just like, you know, like guys' egos, like they don't want to be like, you know, like, hey,
Yeah.
show me how to do this, like a guy, like I don't know, you know what I mean? But as I
Yeah.
watched it, I was really like, man, that like it just seemed like a really like good environment, very conducive to learning compared
Yeah.
to like the way it would be with a bunch of guys. You know, it'd be like,
Yeah.
all right, dudes, we're gonna go ride these bikes, and then it'd be like, we're not gonna drop anyone, and then they'd be like, no, we're dropping this guy. You know?
Screw Rob. He's in the back
Yeah,
with his
it'd be like,
170
well,
mil
well,
bike.
we left Jared with that guy in the back, but the rest of us are gonna keep going. You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, generally for the women's festivals that I've been to, they are all like that. The first
mhm,
time I went to Rome Fest in Sedona, the joke with me because I was by myself. There was a lot of people that know everyone, but they made me feel welcome. There's women from all different backgrounds, women who identify as women or they them, all the things, and it was like I told them at the end of the day, I went on a ride with them and I was like, dude, can you like follow me for the rest of my life? Because I will never be depressed with the amount of stoke that I get from women, right? It's like, yeah, dude, you got it. No, who cares? Walk your bike. Like, there's no, kind of like you said, there's no ego involved in
mhm,
it for the most part. I've never experienced that. And
yeah,
with the Women of Oz Fest, they put it on really well. It's mainly a coaching clinic for 2 days
mhm,
and you get connected with a really experienced mountain bike coach and it's a no drop ride. You work on skills, you session stuff. One night you party, kind of like Sedona Mountain Bike Fest, but everything is included in it. Um, and
Is that
it's
like the
it,
same time as the Bentonville Bike Fest, or that's a separate
no,
entity?
so separate. So the Bentonville Bike Fest, just like Sedona Mountain Bike Fest, the Women of Oz is specifically for the Women of Oz nonprofit group. And it's skills clinic for the most part. Um, and I think they're going to do something this year at Bentonville Bike Fest. We're going to go. We're going to try and make it to Bentonville this year too to do a collab with them. But like Rome Fruta, now they're just doing, they used to do, Rome Fest used to do 3 festivals a year. Now they're just cutting back to 1. But there's a ton of other festivals popping up. They're all like that. If you
Mhm,
go to a ladies all ride clinic, Lindsay Reicher's clinic, it's
mhm,
like I said, the inclusivity and the stoke and the no shame if you fall, like no shame if you can't ride that line. Like who gives a shit? You're here to learn. Like let's just
yeah.
help each other out. Like yeah, that's it saddens me that some guys don't have that experience. We should change that, Robert.
Yeah,
Let's do
and
a
I'm not
thing.
saying that it's like that, you know, across the board all the time. There's definitely, I mean, I think that, you know, there are opportunities where it's like that with guys, but I don't think that that's the norm. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think that
Yeah.
that's just the best way that I can say it, and I think that, you know, I don't know exactly what the reason is. I'd just be like blabbing at this point. So,
Well, let's change it.
um,
I mean, shit,
yeah,
let's change that up.
yeah. I mean, it's not. It's definitely, pretty much any friend group that I've had. It's that way on a smaller level where it's like, hey, man, we don't care, like whatever. But I've never seen it in a large format like what that festival was, where it was
Yeah.
like that. At least nothing that I've been to. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that they're not out there. Yeah, my wife was thinking about going to that Rome Fest before, wasn't it? That used to be have one in Sedona as well.
They did.
Yeah,
They now only cut down to one, but Fruta is the biggest and it's in September. She should come. Let's have her out
mhm,
there.
yeah.
Let's have her ride with us.
So that out of the ones that you're talking about, like Ozfest, what was it? Ozfest,
Women of Oz.
Women of Oz. Now I turned it into an Ozzy Osbourne concert. Um,
Well, I'm from Australia, so when I told my mom I was in a Women of Oz fest, she just started laughing her ass off.
yeah, she's like, "All right, you need some ruby red slippers or what?" um, so, which one would you recommend to somebody that to go to their first all women's kind of
Oh
retreat
man.
thing like
It
that?
depends where they are because there's some really great festivals out there.
Hmm.
Rome is definitely great. Fruta is really big, so they have all different types of skill levels to ride, and they have a ton of vendors,
Hmm.
which is super cool. Rooted MTB Fest is in the Pacific. It's not the Pacific Northwest. It's in Vermont area. That one is super fun. They have Grit MTB Fest in Arkansas as well. There's just a ton. It just depends where you are in the country. You're in California, so
Yeah.
I mean, what an excuse to go to Colorado, right? Like send her to Colorado
Right.
or let's go to Fruta. Me and the crew are going to be there this year. So if she wants to come be part of the Women's MTV Network for the weekend, like have her come ride
Right.
with us. It should be fun.
So, what are you doing as far as like the network aspect? Because it seems like there's more than one woman that's involved in like creating the content and like posting things on your website. So,
Yeah.
can you explain that? It's not all just you.
Yeah. No, I've got Alexis, the gear girl, who's come on board recently, and she's like a social media guru, and she's taken that off my hands, which I really appreciate because I don't
Mhm.
trying to focus on other stuff. So she comes up with like she came up with the Gear Girl Wednesdays and she does all the postings and responses for me, which is great. She's also been helping demo some bikes that we have because she lives in Pasadena, so she's not super far from me. And
Mhm.
we meet up on the weekends. We're also developing a between two rotors style chat, which is going to be pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but Candace, who's what Jess the Maker's friend, she's a pretty good friend of mine now too. She is helping me coordinate everything on the back end. So that's been a super amazing help. She's doing the trail shorts because
Mhm.
she's like 5 foot nothing and she rocks on her 27.5 Rocky Mountain bike. I love watching her ride. She's hilarious. And we have Becca over on the East Coast who's going to be doing a lot of our news segments now. She has her finger on the pulse when it comes to anything new with women in the mountain bike world. So
Mhm.
Becca's going to be doing a lot of the vlog posts for like the women coming up at Crankworks,
Mhm.
Fiesta, who that just happened. So all the news for upcoming things for women, like she's going to be putting that out. And my wife helps me with all the budgets and filming stuff. So the YouTube stuff and the website, it's mainly my doing, but I'm so incredibly thankful for the women who are standing behind and volunteering their time to help
Mhm.
me put this on because I've been doing it for myself by myself for like a year and a half and now it's I finally have some help which is great. So that's why I'm having more time to film stuff and edit videos and put stuff on the
Mhm.
websites because these amazing ladies have stepped up to be like, yeah, I'll volunteer my time to do it. So I'm thankful for that.
What are you thinking with the channel? Are you going to have multiple people creating content for that, or?
I'd like to. I don't want it to be just me. I would like to highlight other women because it's not just my perspective that matters here. It's others women too. So like I want Alexis to do something on the reviews that she's doing, even if it's gear related or bike related. Like she had the relay for I think 2 months. So her review on that will be coming out. The same with Candace. I would love to have it. I just need to find a way to put that on there, right? And give the credit to the women that they deserve. So
Mhm.
I'd love to be able to do that. If I'm doing this full time, I want to go to different parts of the country and have women film their content. And so I take it and I upload it.
Mhm.
Um, I also feel guilty asking people to do so much when they're not getting anything in return just of yet. Like I feel guilty having them give up their time. And it's like, sweet, let's put it on there. Let's give you the credit. Even if you want to do it on your channel and just tag it with mine, like I don't care. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
have to get over that, but I still feel guilty asking people
Yeah.
to do stuff, you know?
I think that's because you're a good person. So otherwise, you wouldn't feel that way. But I think that the one thing you have to keep in mind is people will like do what they're saying, right? So like if they're saying, like, they actually feel the way they're saying, they're not going to tell you like, hey, I'm cool with doing that, if they're not. You know what I mean?
I mean, I've
So
experienced that, but for the
right.
most part, I haven't. I get what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that I think as I sit here and listen to your plan, your future idea, I think it's really valuable. I mean, I think that you could be the like GCN of women's mountain biking. And I
Thank
think
you.
the
I appreciate it.
grassroots kind of approach that you're taking, I think it's going to work out. I really do. I
Think it's
think
gonna work out?
it's a good, yeah, I think it's a good vision. I really do.
Thank you.
It, I I mean, how could you go wrong when you put a bunch of people together that are all there for the same reason, that they're all stoked about
Exactly.
it. So to me, I've always told my kids when they were growing up, just whatever you're really interested in, do that, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
And I think it's that same situation with what you're trying to build with your network, is like a bunch of people doing what they're passionate about, it'll be
Yeah.
successful. It's just, sometimes maybe it's not going to be successful in the amount of time that you want it to be in, or like whatever. There's always like caveats or things that are bumps in the road or not what you
Yeah.
expected. And how you deal with that, that's the real like secret
Yep.
sauce, is like, how do you overcome that adversity of those type of things?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I
uh,
appreciate that a lot. It means a lot. I think we have some really good things coming up this year, and I'm hoping to level up, as I like to call it. You know,
yeah,
really highlight some of the cool things that are coming out. I'm really stoked for crank where it's like the first time women are competing in the slope style. Like that's just amazing. Next up,
yeah,
Rampage. Like
yeah,
I wouldn't do
yeah,
what they did, but shit, give them the
yeah.
platform to do it, right?
I think, like the more that you make videos, the better that you'll get at it. And I think having, like, being a woman, walking up to women at that type of event and getting feedback from them is going to be much easier than it would
Yeah.
be for like let's just say we were at Crankworks and there's whatever woman that just finished this ride. If I walk up to her versus you walking up to her, like, she's going to feel more comfortable to talk to you. My assumption is, you know what I
I
mean?
yeah,
just
I mean, who
just
knows?
because, like, people are people. Like a
Yeah.
guy would feel more comfortable talking to another guy, just like a woman would feel more comfortable talking to another woman. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
so
mean,
I
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
No, you
you,
go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go.
women first, man.
No, you go. But yeah, I think I love what I'm doing now. I hope I get to do it full time within the next couple of years. I'm very realistic here, but I just want to give people the confidence to ride their bike. I don't care what it is. I don't,
Hmm.
dude, when we were at Rome Fest a couple years ago, there was this woman shredding. She's 72 years old.
That's
Do you
crazy.
know what ride she was on? She was on
Huh.
Highline.
Oh
She was on
wow.
she was dropping into that chute into Highline at 72 years old, and I'm looking at her, and I'm walking my bike down
Yeah.
that thing, and she's just like cruising it. Like, I
Yeah.
want more women to see that, like it doesn't matter what age you are, what skill level you have, just ride your bike,
Yeah.
man.
And that's where I think, like, the better you get at video production, the better
Yeah.
you'll be able to tell that story. And the better
Yeah.
that you can tell that story, the more engaging it will be, and the more um the easier it'll be to attract other people,
Yeah, 100%.
like that's the one thing where I think I was really impatient when I first started doing YouTube. Was I wanted to be making videos that I'm making now, but
Mhm.
like week one, and that was at some points um paralyzing for me because
Yeah.
I would be like trying so hard to make something good that it didn't look that way. So I would want to not want to put it out until it was really getting that way. So then I would procrastinate and wait longer, or I would, whatever. Like, and
Yeah.
realistically, the best thing is just to like crank it out.
Yep.
Do more, do more, do more. And the more you do, the better you get, and you'll get there. And every like, even for me, like still, it's not like I make amazing videos. And in my mind, every video that I make is the best one I've ever made. And then a week later, that one's not as good as the next one. So
I mean, I
but I think,
appreciate that. Any
yeah,
feedback, I'm open to criticism. I'm not one that gets annoyed when people send me criticism. I thrive on it because that's the only way that I'm going to improve, and I don't see it as something negative. I
yeah,
see it as something positive. So if at any point you see something, like, just shoot me a text, be like, "Hey, Mia, how about this?" Or maybe go about it this way. Like, please tell me. I
yeah,
watch a lot of YouTube videos of you guys, like you and Tony the Outsider. He was the one I first started watching YouTube videos. Was Tony. I geeked out when I met him
yeah.
this year. He's
You,
such
you,
a
you
cool dude.
fangirled.
I fangirl, and my wife was like, "Please don't fangirl in front of Tony." And I'm like, "Okay." I told him that too, so you know. But I've watched his videos a lot, and I take pointers of like how you guys do your videos and what is engaging and how people transitions to voiceovers to all of that. Like I'm learning a lot, and
Yeah,
yeah, anything that you can think of, like I'm open. Just
yeah,
I
yeah.
won't, not going to take it personal.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, honestly, there's so much to it that I think as a normal person, you kind of take for granted when you watch a video. You don't really think about those things. You're just like, oh, wow, that was fun to
Yeah,
watch. Or you're like, oh, that sucked to watch. And you don't really think about why,
yeah,
and those are things that you learn. It just like anything, it's just experience. My
yeah.
daughter has been editing some videos for fun because that's what you do when you're 21. And and the other day she made this edit, and I was like, I know for her, she didn't really want to hear me like critique her, because
Mhm.
she's like, Dad, this is like the first one. And I was like, no, I'm not trying to critique you. I just want to
Right.
like tell you like something really simple and just hear me
Yeah.
out, and it was like on her transition from one scene to the next, like the music on the next scene was like bam,
Oh, yeah.
and but it was good because it was like, but her transition, her actual transition was like a fade. So I was
Right.
like, that fade makes you feel like it's slowly coming, but the
Right.
sound that you're doing is like
Yes.
smack you in the face. Like you want
Yes.
them to be the same. And she listened to me and she's like, that really makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. But it's like
Yeah.
those are things that you don't think about when you just watch TV or
Yeah.
movies. You
No.
don't like, yeah,
I
it's crazy.
started doing that now that I've been editing more. I started paying attention to that. Even we were watching The Amazing Race last night. I was like, "Oh shit, the transition on that to that, how they
Yeah.
did this, like really tell it's how you tell the story." And you said something earlier about being really crippling, right? Like you're always
Mhm.
editing and you're always trying to make it right that you get I get like that to where like, fuck, this isn't good enough. Or I need to edit it more, or I need to do
Mhm.
this. My story isn't good. And my wife is just like, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Like, just
Yeah.
put it out and it's a learning opportunity. So I'm
Yeah.
starting to do that to where, I mean, even like Tony's saying, just jump in the pool, right?
Yeah.
Just do it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna release a video tomorrow. I've been working on my editing. I've been working on call outs. I've learned to like add call outs to stuff, and
Mhm.
because I do like some of the stuff that Drew does, and I found some similar stuff. I don't want to seem like I'm copying him, but I think some of what he does can really resonate with the audience. And so I'm like, sweet, let's
Mhm.
see how it goes. And
Yeah.
let me know what you think of it when you watch it later.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that, the video that I was watching earlier, that Women of Oz one. It had a really good, had a good vibe to it, you
No, I
know?
appreciate that.
So, yeah.
Appreciate that.
But it's things like you'll figure it out. And I think Tony's advice is really good. Just jump in, because honestly, you learn something every edit that you do.
Yeah.
And I think that not everybody's advice is actually the best advice for you, regardless of what
Hmm.
their experience level is.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
you'll find your own way. I mean,
Yeah.
that's to me, like, I mean, you'll emulate other people at times, and you'll learn things from them, or but ultimately, you're gonna find your own path.
Yeah.
It, it's like you can come up to a feature, right, and four different people see four different lines. It's
Yep.
the same way with doing a channel, or like reaching out to people, making videos. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's a,
crazy once you start editing how you watch TV differently, though.
oh yeah, 100%.
I've definitely been. There's one that I can't remember what movie it was, and it really bothers me, because I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh my god, that edit right there, like the way that was edited was so sick. And and I remember like trying to explain it to my wife, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like it was a cool scene. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like what they did there. Like, yeah, no, it was cool. No, you don't get it. Like, we look at things really differently.
Yeah, and you
But
can go down a rabbit hole with editing too. It's just so much fun. There's so many things you could do with it. But
mhm.
yeah, you gotta
I
learn
think
to
it would be
stop.
fun. I think it would be really fun for you to have, different the different ladies that you're already working with, to have them
Hmm.
either, maybe they don't want to learn how to edit, but they can film something and then send
Oh
you
yeah.
the footage, and then you can tell the story that way, or like, and you
Yeah.
can even like tell the story with their story. So like, let's
Yeah.
say that they are doing a review of some product, right, and you just say, hey, give
Hmm.
me like two different angles and talk
Yep.
about whatever, but then you can make your story like how you've perceived what she's
Yeah.
saying, you know
Yeah.
and
We're actually working on that with Candace. Jess is taking her some equipment that I have so that she could film that stuff, and then we drop it into a WeShare file, and I edit it, and we go from there. So yeah,
yeah.
we're doing some of that stuff too. And when Becca goes to interview someone that's like in an enduro race, it's the same kind of thing. It's like her interviewing someone, getting the news aspect of it, sending it to me, and we cut it and then put it on YouTube. So yeah, that's definitely something that we're working on. It's the logistics, right? Of like, how do you get such huge files to other people? And I know we transfer is a good one, but then
Hmm.
if you're transferring after a certain amount is like a payment, whatever. We'll figure it out. But that is something we're definitely doing, is like multiple women, the five of us doing different things. Because like
Hmm.
I said, it's not just me. I don't want it to be just me. I want
Hmm.
it to be everyone's perspective that's part of the crew. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I think with that stuff, the more time that you spend kind of like writing out your scripts or something like that, that would probably help. Like
Yeah.
then you can kind of like get an idea. Hey, I just need you to film this, talk about this, and then
Yep.
um it would definitely, like, for me, my whole production is myself. So
Hmm.
I a lot of times I'm like making an edit, and I'm like, oh, I need a shot of this, so I just go get it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, but like that's not very efficient, and especially if I was trying to like work with four other people. I'm like, hey, drop everything you're doing. I need you to
Yeah.
say this real quick, because I changed my mind on what I'm doing. So yeah.
That happened when we were doing something. We dropped a pants and shorts review part two. And each one of the ladies wrote a little bit on the pants and shorts that they had, so that when I put it on the blog, it was their point of view of it. And I
Mhm.
remember two were missing, and I had just launched it. We had already done the Insta post and all the things. And I was like, shit, Becca's thing is missing. And I was texting her frantically, like, drop everything, write for me what you need. And
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. Sometimes that logistics, but now we have a good groove. Like we have a content calendar, we have a calendar for when things are coming out, what we're doing. So I think we'll be a little bit more organized when it comes to wrangling five women who all want
Yeah.
to put their thing out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think like even in my head, like let's just say it was the pants review, for example. You could have um like say you get one, you're not going to get like 6 pairs of pants from somebody, so you get the one that's in your size, but you could still send those to the other girls and they could film themselves opening it up and being like, oh, this is what I like, the way that this looks. Oh, I like
Yep.
the way that the material feels. Oh, this waist, the way this is, and
Yep.
you can get those different perspectives and then put them all together. And I think that's a compelling story then. And
100%.
especially for somebody that is, trying to get a different perspective on that product. Now they got
Hmm.
4 people's perspective from coming and watching your one
Yep.
video. So I think that the idea of your network, that's the part where like my mind, whenever you're talking about, is like, wow, there's a really good opportunity there, a really
Yeah.
good opportunity to tell some good stories. So
Yeah.
uh,
100%.
yeah,
We did
yeah.
that. We did a video with the 4 of us talking about every single pants and shorts that we had. So
Hmm.
in each time, each one of us would say our perspectives, and then that tied into that blog post I was just telling you about.
Hmm.
Then
Yeah, and
that's on YouTube.
you could do the same thing with your podcast too, where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, this week's episode, we're just going to talk about clothes, and
Yep.
next week's episode, we're going to talk about saddles. And the next week's episode, we're just going to talk about how we feel about like our cockpit setup, you know,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
and, like, I think
Yeah.
how's your podcast doing? Is it like getting pretty
Pretty
good
good.
download? Like good.
Yeah, I mean, this year when I reached the end of it and I was looking at the data, I was like, what the heck? We grew like 900 and something percent, so many downloads, so many. I couldn't believe it. And I'm a bit of a data nerd, so I love looking at that stuff. But when I was actually seeing the growth, I was like, shit, this is where I need to really start putting some effort into it too. And a lot of the things that grew was when I was doing live podcasts just like this, because some women don't know that they can come on and ask questions. And if there's something there, people interact right on the
Hmm.
spot. So
Hmm.
that was really cool. The podcast did really, really well. We got like 700% more followers. I mean, I don't know where they get these metrics from, but I was excited
Yeah.
when I saw those numbers,
Yeah.
like 900% more listeners and
Hmm.
downloads and I was like, shit, yeah, we got to keep doing this. So we have a ton of podcasts lined up over the next couple of months with women, and some we're doing live, which is pretty cool. Some people
Hmm.
don't want to do it live. Have you come across that? Some people like don't want to record live or
I think some people have that feeling because like the potential pressure of it being live. But
yeah,
typically, I just try to like reassure people, like, just don't think about that aspect. It's just us having a conversation. And usually, whenever
yeah,
you get to start talking, people, and if you're a good host and you're a good talker, I mean, we've been having a great conversation. It's super easy. So I think that as long as you're like welcoming to people and you can carry a good conversation within a couple of minutes.
yeah, yeah,
They already forget. I
yeah,
can't tell you how many people have told me that there's no way that they're going to talk about whatever for two
yeah,
hours. And
yeah,
I always just tell them like, oh, well, look, if we run out, I know, believe me, I'm not going to sit here and just drag it on and drag it on. If we run out of things to talk about and it doesn't like seem like it's going anywhere, I'll wrap it up. So if
yeah.
that's 45 minutes, it's 45 minutes. But I'll just tell you, my experience is it usually goes 2 hours, and I say it's been 2 hours, and people are like, "Wow," and
That's
like
awesome.
I had one particular person where it was like they were like, "I haven't talked that long about anything in years," and they were like, "It
Yeah,
just really blew my mind." They were like, if you, they were like, "There's no way that this conversation is going to go more than 30 minutes." you know and it was 2 hours and we were still rolling, no problem. It was like, yeah, so
could be an all day thing. No, I
yeah,
think when we're talking about bikes, it's just awesome.
yeah,
Community, what we're doing, like, yeah, I love it. I love talking about this stuff.
yeah. I think that it's just, it's whenever um you're passionate about something, it's really easy to talk about anything that you're passionate
Yeah,
about. So
100%.
yeah, when you do your interviews, do you like do research on the people beforehand, or do you um
Yeah.
what's your strategy?
I do. I like to do a little research on them to know one that I'm not going to say anything stupid or
Hmm.
something that's old.
Yeah.
But I like to do some research on them because I want to know what to ask or what they have coming up. Sometimes I don't do a ton. I know a little bit about them and I want that to kind of be an organic surprise. So like what they're working on,
Hmm.
what's coming up next, or um with Shelly from the fire team, for example, I knew a little bit about them because I went on their website, but I had no clue on the entire background that she was talking about regarding how to start an enduro race, how her daughter was told girls don't race enduro. And she was
Hmm.
like, oh, well, then fuck this. I'm going to start a team. None of that was available to find. And so sometimes I like that surprise element of
Hmm.
because I think sometimes I'm so animated. Like when she told me that, I think I went, oh, what the fuck? Like it was a legitimate reaction.
Yeah.
But I do, and I don't. I like to be prepared, and I also want the person to feel comfortable. You know
Hmm.
that I'm not just here wasting their time. Like I'm interested in what they have to say.
Hmm.
And yeah, I do. I enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I don't usually look up anything.
Oh,
I
come
like,
on, Robert. Oh, I just watched your
sure.
Women of Oz video.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was just like when I watched that video, I didn't feel like I was like, and maybe this is my own like not like I'm just being naive with myself, but like to me, I was just like, oh, I want to see what's on her YouTube channel. I was looking for a picture
That's
to be able
awesome.
to put um on the thumbnail, and then I was like, oh, that
Yeah.
looks interesting. And then to me, I felt like I was just being a consumer, and I wasn't
Oh, that's
necessarily
awesome.
like being like oh, I want to see what she's about. And
Uh,
typically, I I don't really like to do any kind of like I don't like purposefully go look for stuff
okay.
because I just want to like have a natural conversation and I'm just like naturally inquisitive, so I feel like
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. I think the only person that I ever interviewed that I looked up beforehand to try to like make
Was?
sure that yeah, it was Seth. I was nervous to talk
No
to Seth.
way, really? You were nervous to talk to Seth?
Yeah, that was the only one that I was really nervous on where and I don't know, maybe I was like fanboying a little bit or I don't know. Like I think even whenever I had him on the podcast, I had already met him in person. So it wasn't like we
I
hung out,
mean,
you know.
but I mean, like, what did you find? Did you do like a deep dive on him and like look at all
Yeah.
his videos? Like, how far research did I mean, how much research did you do on him?
Well, let's be honest. I have ADD, so like it was probably like 10 minutes, but that felt like a long time to me. I like just put his name in Google and I was like, okay, well now I know where his house is. And
Oh god, that's
but
hilarious. Well, at
yeah,
least you did research. That's better than
yeah.
nothing.
I felt like I was just really proud of myself. It was probably 5
It
minutes.
was let's be honest here, people.
I got bored and started watching something else. I was like, oh, look at this Mr. Beast video over here on the side.
Mr. Beast. All right, we need to get a hold of Mr. Beast for you.
Right?
We need to do something with Mr. Beast.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
yeah, I think
hilarious.
like even I had Cam McCall on last week. I did look up something for him because I just wanted to make sure like I understood like kind of what his background was a little bit
Yeah.
because I don't follow professional mountain biking really at all. The only like professional mountain bikers that I know by name I probably met. You know what I mean? So
That's pretty
uh
cool.
but but other than that, it's like I don't really know anything like I know the name Richie Rude, right? Do I know
Yeah.
like other than I know he rides Yeti because I've seen that like plastered on some freaking, thumbnail somewhere, but other than that, I don't really know. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's not a downhill guy. I think he's an enduro. I don't know. Like,
Let's
like I
look it
know,
up. I don't know
yeah.
either.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm not like I don't like I have other friends that are in this in the creator space and they're like, oh, we were watching the UCI or whatever the fuck it is. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I have zero clue what you're talking about. And I honestly like it's just not really interesting to me. But on the other hand, I'll watch football. I mean, I do like professional sports. I understand it. you know. So somebody says Richie Rude was the junior DH world champ. See, go figure. I'm like, I don't think he's a DH guy. And no shit. There you go. So,
well, you got it
yeah.
right. So round of applause for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've told this story before on here, but a friend of mine introduced me to, oh shit. Now I'm forgetting his name. Anyways, I'm going to move on.
It's going to be like some real big person. You're going to be like,
yeah, it is actually. It's like, if I change, let's see here. I'm gonna try to see if I can come up with it while we're talking, because I'm actually subscribed to the guy's YouTube channel now. But whenever I first met him, one of my friends, Sam Pilgrim.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, I was at
Sam Pilgrim.
Yeah, and I was at Sea Otter, and he was actually with somebody else too, because the guy that introduced me to him at the time was like teasing me about it just the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, dude, it wasn't only Sam Pilgrim that you didn't know; it was the other guy too." And so, anyways, like basically, like they walk up, and he's like, "Hey, this is Sam and whatever the other dude's name is." And
dude, you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, totally no clue at all. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Sam?" And he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Right on." Well, you like bikes? Apparently, I like bikes. Right on. Catch you later. And then my buddy's like, "Dude, do you not know who the fuck that was?" And I was like, "No, Sam." And he's like,
just Sam.
Like, no, dude, that's like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I have no clue, man. I just don't know that stuff." So.
But his shit's hilarious. Like if you watch his YouTube, really like his shit's hilarious. Today's gonna be epic because like I just love his shit.
Yeah, well, the stuff you see him do, you're like, really, man? Like you really don't care about getting injured. You're like,
nope.
This like wooden frame bike that looks like it's barely together. He's like, I think I'm gonna try to do a backflip on it or some stupid shit.
He did it twice before it broke.
You're like, what is wrong with you, man?
Made of bamboo. The dude's insane. The dude's crazy.
Yeah,
he's insane.
Totally funny. But yeah, so I mean that's me in a nutshell when it comes to pro racing or pro athletes as far as professional mountain bikers go. And so, like I said, with Cam, and we're talking 5 minutes tops, like saw if he had a wiki page, and it was like, like somebody I had posted the picture of him beforehand, and I had just asked on Instagram, was like, hey, what would you ask? And because honestly, I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna talk bikes with this guy, and somebody was like, yeah, these pedals, his brother's pedals. I was like, I didn't know he had a brother. I didn't know his brother was a professional rider. I also didn't know that they had like their own line of pedals. Like to me, it's just like that's not the world that I'm in. But maybe that's why I'm relatable on this podcast. It's just not everybody is into that. So.
And sometimes that's okay. I had a conversation with someone earlier, and they're like, oh, do you know who so and so is? And I was like, no. Should I know who this person is?
Yeah. But I think some of that's good though, because I mean, there's the more that you get in the industry, the more that you become like you start to believe that everybody has that same like breadth of knowledge. And and I've definitely even noticed that in my own like experience of doing these channels for the last 7 years. Like there's a lot of things that I kind of take for granted now that beforehand I wouldn't have even known, and so I think it's good to have that, it's good to have that fresh perspective, because I would think that the most people, they're not all in, they're not in the industry.
Yeah.
So for them, it's like, tell me like the basics, or when I was doing my 90-second reviews, that's what it was like. My thought process was, when you're on this trail and you ask your buddy like, hey, do you like those pedals? They don't talk to you about it for 15 fucking minutes. Right. No. They're like, yeah, these are rad. And it's because these pins come out super easy and they cost this much, and then you're done. So it's like, it's not like, let me do a production with, freaking 15 B-roll shots and drone, and it's like to talk about pedals, like get the hell out of here, man. So
Sometimes less is more.
yeah, totally.
And that's one of the
I
cool
just
things. Like Alexa's, sorry, go ahead.
no, go for it.
Alexa started doing the Gear Wednesdays, and it's basically 45 seconds of, like, today she did like the shop pump. Last time she did a bag, and then she did pedals. So it's like in 45 seconds, here's what's good about it, here's what we like, boom, done. Like you
Yeah,
don't need, like you're saying, a ton of stuff. Sometimes you want to do something a little bit more, but for the most part, people's attention span of like what, 20 seconds?
yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about trying to revive that whole thing and doing it on the like a 60-second kind of format so that I could do it in like shorts or reels or
Yeah.
whatever, TikTok, just because the one thing that I found when I was doing the 90-second reviews was, man, you really gotta be like decisive about what information that you're going to say in that amount of time. Like
Yeah,
what actually
100%.
means the most to you. So what I would do is I started trying to like talk as fast as I could to get everything out, but it'd be like, holy shit, even then it's like some things, it's like there's so much good that you want to talk about it where
Yeah.
you actually have to sit down and be like, okay, well, I can't say that, I can't say that, I can't say that. So these are the things that I can get out in this amount of time, and that's what means the
Mm-hmm.
most. And then you'd see it in the comments. Well, you didn't say anything about this. It's like, fuck, dude, I
I
only had
know.
90 seconds, man. Like, did you see the clock?
You should do a part 1 and part 2.
Right? Tricked you 180. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
So
click here for more. Yeah,
yeah,
you should.
right.
Why not?
Yeah,
I want to see
yeah,
those.
yeah. That's the fun thing about doing this stuff like creatively is like you can watch somebody else's stuff and kind of get inspired by that. And I don't know. I think that realistically, the reason that I have a YouTube channel is probably the same thing as you, is that you're a creative person. There's so many people that I've talked to that do YouTube that also have like been a musician, you
Hmm.
know? And I think it's just it's a creative thing. And I think that's really what it comes down to is just like you're a
Yeah.
creator.
Yeah. It's a different form, right? Because for me, it's kind of
Yeah.
new, but you're right. When you think about it, I always say I'm not creative, but then I come up with
Yeah.
shit. So I guess that's a thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I told, what did I tell my wife one day? I said that I wasn't like, I was like, oh, I'm not very crafty. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not like super crafty. And she's like, dude, like seriously, she's like, you have like a 3D printer, you've got a Cricut, you make t-shirts, you make stickers, you like make videos. She's like, I don't feel like you really are in touch with who you are. And I was like, hmm,
She's got a
feel
point,
like,
Robert. You're crafty AF.
yeah. I was like, I feel like all of a sudden now I'm feeling like I'm wrong.
Oh god, that's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But I think it's for me, I just like to make stuff. That's really what it comes down to. Like
Yeah.
just like to create things, whether it's, a shirt or something that I like and air quote engineered, like it's just really fun to make something that wasn't anything before. And whether
Yeah.
that's, capturing it with video or like with a photograph or whatever, I think that's really fun. And then to be able to like have platforms like we do, like YouTube and
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok and all that, like to be able to put it out to the world and then get feedback, like
Yeah.
that's rad, you
Yeah.
know that's really
Especially
rad.
when it's good feedback.
Yeah, right.
When Jess was here, she stayed 5 days with us last week, and she was like, "Dude, I had no idea you were a drummer." And I showed her my old Instagram from my drumming days, and
Hmm.
she was like, "This is really good. Like, why don't you do this anymore?" And I'm like, "'Cause I have the time, right?" And then I told her that I started doing YouTube videos in 2002 of my drumming.
Hmm.
And then I quit because I moved here and I didn't have this resource to do it. And I thought, shit, if I was still doing YouTube videos like 20 years, can you imagine like the amount of shit I probably would have been doing by now with drumming? Like that would have been a dream. You move to
Yeah.
LA and then it shatters your goals, it shatters your dreams, you know?
Did you go there for music?
Yeah, well, I followed a girl as one
Hmm.
does. Um, And ended up going back to school here, and then that's where I met my now wife. And then when the
Hmm.
laws changed, we were able to get married, and she was able to get me here on a permanent residency. And I just got my citizenship last year, 2 years ago.
Right on.
So I got 3
Well,
citizenships now.
where are you a citizen at?
I was born in Brazil, so I have my Brazilian passport. And Australia. I was raised in Australia since I was 8. Then I moved here.
We're at in Australia.
Melbourne,
That's
Victoria, well, not born and bred, but raised in Victoria.
you're like,
That
wait
was
a minute.
misleading. That was
I just said that
misleading.
out loud. That's on the East Coast?
No, southeast. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right on.
Have you been there?
No, I've always wanted to go to Australia. I just haven't gone yet. But when I was a young kid, my last name's Schumacher, so obviously my heritage is German. So I always wanted to go to Germany my entire life. And part of the reason that or when I joined the military, I had to put in my contract that I would be going there. And so after I got to Europe, I was like, man, like, what do I want to do? What's my new goal? You know?
Yeah.
And I always wanted to go to Australia. That was when I came up with Australia. And so apparently I've been doing a very good job at that one because it's been like 30 years and I still haven't managed to buy a
I
plane
mean,
ticket.
you gotta go. One of my brothers lives on Manly Beach in Sydney. So if you need someone to tour you around, I'm happy to connect you with my brother in Sydney. And Australia is just amazing. Every time I go back, the one thing keeping me from staying is it's just so far away from everything. Like it's 20 hours to Europe, it's 16 hours here, it's 18 hours to Africa. I mean, the Asian countries is really close, don't get me wrong, which is great. But like if you want to go to Europe, you want to come to America, like it's a fucking hike, dude. It's just so far away. But I think when my wife and I are older, we are going to retire there because everything is free. And they take care of the elderly way better over there than they do over here.
Right. Unless you're just freaking rolling in the money from your women's MTB network, you never know. You could just be swimming in dollars.
You know? We'll see.
Wish
me luck with that, friend.
Right? You're like, I don't need healthcare. I'll just buy a hospital.
Let's have doctors on call whenever I need to.
Right? Just ring a little bell. Somebody else is like, did you want more tea? You're like, no, I wanted a fucking doctor. Go do something.
You're like the queen.
That's
oh
hilarious.
Man.
Yeah, when I first came to California, I came to California to be a rock star. So that's why people always ask me how I got here. It was the same thing.
We need to start a band. What do you play?
Right. I play guitar, but not as much as I used to. So
okay, well, I mean, shit.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, man. I got a couple of songs in my karaoke forte that man, I'll bring down the house with. So
what are they?
My number one go-to every single time is Wanted Dead or Alive. I can really like do that one. Really
You're a Bon Jovi fan. Okay.
I'm not a Bon Jovi fan, but I'm really good at that song. So like oh man, I did this. This one time they had this live band karaoke. And so like this band would come and they had, maybe it was like 50 or 60 songs that you could choose from, right?
Yeah.
So and then but it was like you're singing with a real band, and I did that song and it was a pretty full bar at the time. And like even the guys and the musicians, they were like, dude, that was sick, man. That was so fun. I was like, right on, man. That was good.
Yeah, we need to, dude. I think we need to start an MTB band.
Yeah, there you go. I know Bobo. Bobo's a pretty good musician.
There you go.
He was also in the music industry for a while. So
there's
a lot of guys. I think the other day I want to say that the Lone Ranger plays bass.
Ryan?
Something like that. Yeah.
Should hit him up.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of YouTubers that all play some kind of instrument. I bet you Tony plays guitar. He seems like a guitar kind of guy.
He seems like a very talented person who could do anything. So let's get Tony to do something. Maybe Tony, if you don't play an instrument, you could sing for us.
Yeah.
We need a singer.
Unless it's Dead or Alive, you're not singing.
You could acapella it.
Would we do covers or just like all original stuff?
Why don't we do both? Like, I'm a rock person. I am a 90s rock person.
Yeah. What's your favorite
So,
90s rock band?
oh fuck. I mean, does the Foo Fighters still count? They're my number one. But favorite
That's your number one
90s
band?
band. That's
That's
my
your
number
number
one
one band?
band. It's
Oh,
either Foo Fighters or Tool or the
yeah.
Deftones. But Pearl Jam is like a classic 90s band. I really like Pearl Jam. The Chili Peppers. I grew up on the Chili Peppers.
When you say Foo Fighters, the first thing like that comes to my mind is because I'm a huge Nirvana fan,
Oh
and
yeah.
my buddy in high school had this like Cobain poster in his room, and he had written on the bottom of it, "It's all because of you. We have the Fighters Foo."
Oh my God.
And
Come
like when you
on.
said Foo Fighters, that's the first thing that comes to my mind is that poster. I'm like, damn it.
So, okay, I like the Foo Fighters because I started playing the drums when I was 13. I'm all self-taught, by the way.
Mhm,
I watched Alanis Morissette in concert when I was 13, and her drummer was Taylor Hawkins, who then
mhm.
became the drummer of the Foo
Yeah,
Fighters.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I used to be that nerd that would watch MTV with my VHS tape and I would record videos. So I would sit there and like press stop or whatever. And then I remember exactly when Monkey Wrench came on and I was like, fuck, I know that. I didn't even know who Dave Grohl was. I was like 14 at the time.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's the dude, that's the drummer. And that's how I like the Foo Fighters. That's how I started to play the drums. Like it wasn't even Grohl. And I've seen Dave Grohl. Well, I haven't. My wife's seen Dave Grohl around here in the valley a few times, and she would
Mhm.
always text me like, "I've seen Dave Grohl," and I'm like, "Go get an autograph."
Yeah.
She's
He's
like,
such a
"No,
rad guy. Like, honestly, I've
such a
watched
mess."
bunch of interviews with him and stuff like that. He really is truly,
Yeah,
truly talented person. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Smashing Pumpkins. That's another one. Grew up on the Smashing Pumpkins. That's another '90s band. Alice
yeah,
in Chains.
that was a good one. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know, Candace here is mentioning No Doubt. I just
yeah,
saw today that No Doubt's getting back together to play Coachella.
yeah. They are. I bought their record Orange County in 96, 95, and I didn't even know what Orange County was. Like I was just a kid living in Australia, not knowing what the hell I was they
Right.
were singing about. But yeah. Yeah, No Doubt's
Yeah.
coming back, damn. See how they
Yeah.
do. Their drummer broke their I almost lost his finger or something. Let's see how he's doing.
Interesting. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah,
I
Jane's
mean,
Addiction. Oh, so many 90s bands coming up right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like, you know, a lot of times people really identify with the music that they were like maybe younger with, like high school or middle school or whatever. And I really, I'm a big music fan, and I
Mhm.
definitely like listen to all those bands. And at the time, it was to me, I'm like completely equal opportunity. Like it didn't matter if it was rock or rap or
Yeah.
country or whatever. It's like obviously, or not obviously, but like my core was rock. But
Yeah.
I find myself more than anything still listening to classic rock though. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I don't know what it is about like that time between like the 70s and maybe early 80s of stuff that was just like, man, they just put out some just phenomenal music that
Mhm.
you're like, I don't know what's different, maybe we need to go back to smoking like low grade weed again or something like that. Lots of it.
Some
And
LSD.
yeah, music will get good again. Let's make music great again, So yeah, yeah. It's interesting, just definitely I don't know. Some of those songs are just they're just they feel so timeless, you know?
They do, you're right, you're right, and you can see the inspiration from the musicians thereafter doing the same thing, like, that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to be an ethnomusicologist because I wanted to study the sociology theory on, collective effervescence, and I wanted to study how people are all in the same frame of mind when they listen to a song, and how the influence of music has gone from the last 60 years, but maybe that's for another lifetime,
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Who
another
knows?
lifetime.
Maybe you get into it on YouTube as a side gig later on, you know?
Maybe, we'll see.
We'll see what happens. What are you looking forward to with the Women's Network this year?
Um, Doing some travel and meeting some people across the country. And also in Australia, when I go back to Australia at the end of the year, I'm looking forward to some of the reviews and videos we're going to put out, and just connecting with women out there. I'm stoked that I have my little team, all these amazing ladies who are donating their time, as I say, donating, volunteering, same thing, to make this dream that we all have come together. And hopefully meet you in Sedona. We could do a video together. We could do a 90-second review video in Sedona.
60. We need to make it 60. It has to be a
60,
real.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, the shorts.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can meet before then. Aren't you coming up to this area to go to Santa Cruz or something like that?
Yeah, we're going next week, so maybe I'll hit you up.
Yeah.
Are you going to be around next weekend?
I'm not, unless I'm dead. I should be in the area. So. But yeah, hit me up. You never know when you're not going to wake up. So.
That's true. We're going to be in Sedona too, like a week before. We're going to be there for like 8 days. So if you happen to come early too, we can always just hang out, grab a drink or a ride or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely. More than likely, my plan is probably going to be get in Thursday morning, ride South Mountain because that's what I always do, and then go from there. Be at the festival until Monday morning, and then fly out Monday sometime. So that'd be my plan.
Well, we'll hang out some way or another.
Yeah,
you're a loose plan.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, it's really easy to bump into everybody right around 5, listening to the band, drinking good beer. So
there you go.
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do. Meet you there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, it's 2 hours right here. We are like wrapping it all up.
Dude, 2 hours? It doesn't feel like 2 hours at all.
It never does.
Time flies.
I always like to ask people. What YouTube channels do you like to watch, regardless of it.
Oh man, you guys are gonna judge me so hard right now. You guys are gonna judge me so hard.
Let's hear it.
Well, in terms of mountain biking, I watch Tony, you, and Alex, and Sid and Mackie. I love Sid and Mackie stuff, and Heather Monive. I like her stuff. But some of the go-to stuff I like too is weird. Like I used to have this really big fear of snakes. To the point where like I wouldn't ride my bike in the summertime because I was so deadly afraid of running into a snake. And then I started watching this kid. His name is Chandler. It's Chandler's Wildlife. And the kid is insane, but I love watching his stuff because I think he's a true conservationist at the end of the day. And he has some amazing snakes, all venomous, by the way, that he just like free handles.
And the gear girl I just love watching she likes anything with snakes.
Yeah. Alexis has been to my house long enough to see my fascination with snakes. It's crazy, dude. And then I ran over a rattler about 6 months ago, and it struck at my wife because she was right behind me. I ran over it. I lifted my feet off the pedals, and I turned around, and I just see the snake like go and went right under her down tube. It was It was fucking scary.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anyway, snake stuff, Alexis. God, thank you for outing me on the weird snake stuff. Appreciate that.
I have a video. Actually, I think the clip is in my Fazari video of me and a rattler not too long ago, and I hit some octaves that I didn't think I could hit. So
I need to go. I must have missed that one. All right, adding it to my queue.
Yeah. Go check it out. I'm pretty sure it's on that one. If you watch it and it's not on there, let me know. I'll send you the Patreon cut because I made a cut for Patreon only that was just like me screaming like a little bitch, and it was pretty funny. So, but yeah, I can.
It happens to the best of us, though, dude. Like, I thought I screamed snake, and my wife said, "No, you just screamed." And you just lifted I just saw your feet come off the pedals like this.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest shit ever because I knew it was a rattler. That's the weird thing. Like I see king snakes, I see other stuff, but when it's a rattlesnake, it just scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Well, the problem with seeing one on the trail like that is then your brain for like the next 4 or 5 weeks, anything that is remotely straight is like, it's a snake. It could be a shadow from a tree branch a mile away, and you're like, it's a snake.
Oh my God. And that's why my wife rides in front now because I was starting to do that. She was getting really freaked out because I'd be like, I just like twitch, and she's like, what?
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Well, hey, thank you very much for hanging out with me and
Thank
all the
you.
other biker bar patrons. Everybody else that's pulled up a stool tonight or is listening in the future. Thank you for hanging out. It was a really good conversation. I
Yes.
think what you're doing is a good thing, Mia. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really
Appreciate
excited to
that.
see what you guys do in the next year. And those of you guys that aren't familiar with her channel, go check it out. She's got a website. She's got a YouTube channel. She's got an Instagram. She's got a Facebook page. So just look
Yeah.
for Women's MTB Network. I
Network.
think
Yes.
the Facebook one might be like Women's Mountain Bike Network or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that handle was taken or something. But either way, you'll
Yeah.
find it. It looks like the logo that's on the thumbnail, or
Yep.
it'll come up. It's like it's definitely gonna be a top search,
Yeah.
top hit for you. So go check that
Thank you
out.
so
If you're on
much.
YouTube, there's a link in the show more. You can just click that, go over there, give her a subscribe and show her some support. Her channel is pretty new, so it is definitely like getting some extra subscribers would be good for her. So
Would be.
do that.
Thank you so
And
much, Robert. Appreciate you.
yeah, for sure. 100%, you know. And while you guys are on Instagram, if you haven't given me a follow, please do. I'll be looking forward to that. Like I said earlier, definitely if you're thinking about getting a new bike, check out Fazari. Really loving that LaSalle. And if you want some new gloves, maybe you're looking for something fun, pick up that black flag pattern over at Tasco. Like I said, use code B1KER, save some money. It'll be a little nice, a little more friendly on the wallet for you there. If you just want to do something for free, remember it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.
Yeah.